Well, first of all, whenever you're going into a grassroots operation, there's no miraculous moment of change. It is a grassroots operation. Hard, sometimes agonizing. And I'm going to tell you something about the human nature in general, if I may. People always answer to the story you tell them about themselves. If you tell them that everything is cynical and horrible, they will be cynical and horrible. If you tell them everything is noble and well-intended, they become more noble and well-intended. It's one of those basic truth of life. Jonathan Sachs, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs writes a lot about this. I'm sure you know, you're familiar with this. So the thing is, first of all, you have to win the students who are for you. I mean, the Jewish students or non-Jewish students who need to become the foot soldiers for this fight. And in order to do so, you have to tell them a story about themselves. And the story is that you're not just defending a country which is across the sea and you have a remote or not so remote relation with through your family or your personal history. You are defending the best ideas that humanity has to offer. The search for peace, you know what? There's a story I was telling people in the last year. I was in the protective age operation. I wrote about this morning in the Times. I was part of the security cabinet. So it's 8 people in the room making decisions that are mostly painful. It's a life and death. It's not a metaphor. It is life and death decision. And it is unbelievable how many hours we have, I don't want to use the word spend, but spend on trying to figure out how to avoid hurting the innocent, including things that has never happened in the history of wars. There's no equivalent in the history of war to an army calling the houses of the people he's going to bomb and say, we're going to bomb at 3 o'clock, please leave, we don't want to hurt children, women and children, and the elderly. There is no equivalent in the history of wars to an army that is setting a hospital in the other side in order to take care of the wounded of the enemy. So it's a story about humanity that is genuine and truthful and powerful. So, and with the students you are talking about, you have, unlike what I said about the general public, with them you have the time and the opportunity to tell a story that is a bit more complicated, a bit more broad. And you just tell them you're not fighting for Israel. You're fighting for Israel and you're fighting for the things we believe in, which is gay rights, women rights, human rights, the ability to maintain democracy within this ocean of evilness and of radical Islam. And British people supposedly know how dangerous and horrible radical Islam is. So you have to give them the idea that they're fighting against radical Islam as well, alongside fighting for Israel.